Bring this meeting to order. 102. Oh, I thought she gave me the okay.
No, I have to hit a button that says live.
All set?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to start the meeting. It's 103. 27th of April. Start with roll call. Kathy? You good? Okay. And any improvements or approval of the agenda? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second. Aye.
Opposed? Me in favor, Greg?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Approval of minutes. No other discussion there.
To approve the minutes as stated. I'll second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Good. Public comment. Any comments anywhere? I'm like,
I did not receive that.
Okay. Certification of accounts, number 5.
I don't have questions there.
I just had 2 actually. 26, the travelers.
Yes.
Is that for the 89,401?
Yes. That's the boiler and machinery insurance we prepare to carry on the power plant.
Is that an annual? That's
That's it, yes, that's
okay. At least I'm comfortable that I'm catching these things that I don't think I've seen before. So, and I'll continue to ask. 43, the starter capacitor. What is that on, or it's pretty healthy capacitor?
Well, the starter capacitor is $23.26. The DGR engineering fees.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
blind too low.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the
Then
DGR fee, that's
yeah.
for the.
I don't have a question on that. That's why you made the comment, must be a really healthy capacitor.
Okay.
You didn't get that much more when you had.
No, no, but they didn't have to start it. Let's see. That's all I had, gentlemen.
I'll make a motion to approve the. It's a certification of accounts payable. I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Accepted. Number 6. Reports. Presentation.
Yeah, so that's the standard monthly reports for the commission. I did add in 2 other reports, just to provide that to the governing body for the utility, which is our 2021 reliability report that uses IEEE statistics. All the numbers are very similar to what we had last year, so no change in any of our reliability metrics. And then 6E is our annual 2021 drinking water report. I did provide a link on the agenda for folks that want to actually pull the thing up, and it is in your packets as well. We are including that in our bill message for this month as well. We are required to make sure that that is made available to all of our customers. It's posted on our website. So again, let's just provide that to everyone. You're aware of that. If I can answer any questions that folks might have on any of that.
I have a quick question, because I've just had my water tested. Folks that tested it, took samples and drove off to Elk River to have it valued. I guess what I understand, that's standard practice. I'm asking what they're testing. They said they're testing for nitrates and bacteria. Are those things that we don't test for here?
No, and I'll let Scott answer it, but we do monthly back T samples, which is for the bacteria. There's a whole slew of measurements and tests that they do on a regular basis. Scott, if you want.
I would assume we're testing for more than just nitrates and bacteria, because there's a lot of other.
Yes, the Department of Health comes in and does testing, segmented throughout the year, and they've got a whole laundry list, 2-page stuff there, organics and the nitrates, all the different,
That's arsenic.
yes, yeah, all that type of stuff, and then there's some other ones that are more specific. At different times throughout the year, we do quarterly fluoride testing, samples that we're maintaining the standards on that, and then I say the monthly back teas, we do 5 of them every month throughout town.
And we do that test on our water, how often?
The back teas are monthly, and we do 5 of them a month. And then the other stuff is on a Department of Health schedule. Some are quarterly, some are annually, and some are every 3 years, I think there's a few of them. So,
Good, thank you.
I can add on to that a little bit, because I checked, they're just gonna get our water checked, because we're not on the public.
Yeah.
And they have a page this long of the detail and a nice price by each one. You select what you want tested or for.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you look at that, for me and maybe for yourself too, that how do I know what I want to check for? You know, so you say, here's the whole thing, here's $1,500 for testing my water. So I found that if you're not knowledgeable about that, that it gets a little bit, what should I test for? So your question is very valid, but they could have tested for so much more, but I suppose probably on your demand.
Right, I think, in this particular case, they're looking for specifics to provide to somebody, and that's what they're looking for. It occurred to me that, oh, geez, we don't do that here. Why do they have to go down further? Well, it's a specific bunch of tests. We don't have the facilities at the moment to have walk-in traffic say, here, check this.
Right.
But that's something I think in the future, as long as we're providing water. We're also, I'm assuming, and forgive me if I'm making an ass of myself here, but we have those water reports, I assume out there. I've seen some of them. And they go into a lot more detail, but they don't, it's not a quickie where you go in there, here's my jar of water, test that and tell me it's okay, so I can sell it, or I can market this water, or I can pump this water out and put it in bottles and sell it to co-runs or something. But there's a lot of parameters that have to be checked. And I was just interested in the process and comparing it to what we do here. So, thank you for that.
Where do we send ours?
we do on a requested test we use is instrumental research is who our Department of Health testing goes through, and then we will go to water laboratories in Elk River on a requested, or if new service or new construction type stuff, we will use them also for back T testing to make sure before anything goes into service, which we're doing right now with the water tower, putting that back into service. We have to have 2 concurrent negative back T tests before we can open that up to the system. So we fill it, shut it off, do our testing, and then we can open that up to the system once we have our testing done, and then the Department of Health notified on that.
Well, I will tell you that I also look on our reports, and our water is really good. We pass with all kinds of stuff. So carry on, keep up the good work. But it was interesting just because I had to go through this experience. And yeah, good job, guys.
Do you get residents requesting water tests very often?
Here and there we will, kind of on the complaint end where the water's making me get a rash, or kind of the oddball type stuff or something like that, then we can go to that whole specific house tested, bring them back the results, go through them. And everything else has always come back good, but it's more of a complaint issue. It's not very often, but we will occasionally get one where we will specifically too much of this and there's too much, they'll want to check.
Is it really possible for one resident to have a different result than the rest of the city?
No, it's kind of a peace of mind type of deal.
Well, I didn't know, like there's an end of a
Yeah.
system that maybe isn't getting as much use that could,
There's a little bit of variability throughout the system, but for the most part, it's pretty steady for everything. Constant, maybe a little less chlorine or something on the way out end, versus closer to the system, to the wells and stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty equal throughout. Some of the,
most of it's looped. Right?
yeah, some of the dead ends will have a little bit of issue. They'll maybe get a little taste and odor, a little difference. Most of that's just cleared up by flushing, running some water, even if just in the house, we'll get some.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times you can just have them run water a bunch and then it'll clear up. Or some of the businesses that have bigger water lines in and don't use very much water, they'll get stinky water once in a while. It's usually in internal system where they have to just flush out their stuff to get it fresh.
I know sometimes like water heaters.
That may be some of the liner buildup and whatnot over the years too. Is there anything, I know we talked about this last year, is there anything that Wesleyan plume? Is that done? And those test wells, I believe they're all capped. But is there any? I think there's still movement on the plumes, but it's reached the river, I know. But
as far as the drinking water, and we don't have any special testing that I'm aware of that we're doing tied to that we're monitoring anything special for that. I don't know when the last time they were out and monitored them. I think I believe they capped them off.
Yeah, it's all cleared up. I'm on the planning commission.
Sure.
And they came in looking for a request for a daycare facility, I think, over there.
Yeah.
And that question came up and everything's
a non-issue.
Everything, it's all
okay.
clear. There's nothing, there's no issues anymore. So
yeah, and usually those are issues more with the top, so I don't really get anything up.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure all
It was
what's going on over there.
I've seen the maps and they're pretty big plumes.
It was a non-issue anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
The EPA said it was a non-issue. So.
One more thing, Scott, if you bring up what I talked to you earlier about, is it F-Pass?
The PFAS stuff.
Yeah.
Or the
Well, if we could do that during the update.
I didn't know if you wanted to do it then or because that's, we can do it later, that's fine. Not a problem. Water and water. All right. Where are we at, EV?
I said all the reports are in your packet. The only two I added were the liability and critical water
Right.
report.
So all of these,
That's for your review. Otherwise, I'm done with
all
section
these.
6. Yeah.
Does anyone have any question on those?
No.
Okay. All right, updates. Electric department, Jeremy.
Yes, geez, some of the guys attended a damage prevention seminar in St. Cloud since our last meeting. Our majority of our tree trimming is done for the year. The ground is starting to get a little softer, getting in some of the yard, so that'll be just as a as needed basis or stuff that we can reach from the roads. Stan was here from DGR. We did some work with him. That was right after the last meeting. Verified some information. We had a service at 603 North 6th Avenue. We had unhooked last week. They were doing some work in there. Sunken ship, the guys are out doing that one as we speak right now. They're hooking that one up. They have an inspection this afternoon. They're hoping to get passed on that and get moving forward with that. We unhooked the services to the Mille Lacs County building, the garage. I believe that is going to be going up for sale here shortly. The one on the north end of town, not too far from the Civic Center. Still waiting on our meters. We'll see when they come in. They're supposed to come in June. Some of them are supposed to come in June. Had some MMA training and they came in and the guys last week did hot sticks and grounds testing. I believe everything passed. We didn't have any failures. They were struggling with one Mac. It's a jumper that you put on the hot phases to pick up the load. And then just as an FYI, as you know, we had in the budget this year to replace a pickup. The prices that we're getting back on the pickups aren't looking that great, so we're continuing to look to see if we can find one. The used pickups are coming in as much, if not more, than new pickups are coming in. I found some trucks that are as far away as Michigan and Tennessee that are actually coming in cheaper than some of the used ones. We found one 2020 Ford 1-ton with the utility box on it that had 30,000 miles. They wanted 75 grand for that one. So
we have 15 in the budget.
then there's 50 in the budget. So yeah, there's one here that was in Lansing, Michigan, a brand new Dodge. It was 62. So we're not looking for any. There was one that sold in Tennessee, a brand new Chevy, sold for 53. I don't know how they got that price, but we've been working with Princeton Auto Center trying to get a price. But just giving you an update that the prices are quite a bit more than we had anticipated, and I don't know if it's going to get any better.
Yeah, hopefully at some point in time it will, but it may take a while to shake that out. By the time you shake it out, you're right, you would have been with appreciation and whatnot. What vehicle is it that we're replacing? What year is that? How many miles is on that kind of condition? I know we're on a rotation. But what's the actual info on that?
It is a 2003. It's a 2003 Chevy.
That Katrina?
Yeah, we call it Katrina. So we're
So it's not
fairly
like,
certain that that's where it came from.
okay,
So
I get it.
yeah, I mean it's a good solid truck. So it's the oldest truck that we have, and it's got 120,000 miles on it. It's starting to give us a few problems, but that's why we're not in a big hurry to replace it now. If it doesn't work out and we can't find a good price, but I mean, within the next year or so, yeah, I think we're gonna have to do something, and I guess if the prices don't come down, we'll have to revisit it in the future. So, I mean, I can get a box, we've been looking at used trucks and then putting a utility box on them. But the boxes range from $10,000 to $15,000, depending on the supplier we get them from, Price Dealer and Appy. So I don't think that's obviously more than they used to be, but it isn't as bad as what the truck prices are, I don't believe. So.
Any questions or comments?
So, and then I had also had, we had ordered some transformers just for an inventory, just to keep our inventory in stock for oddball projects that come up or storms or whatever. And the prices of the transformers I had ordered, and this is from B&B Transformer, which is a company right here in Minnesota from Farmington. And those prices compared to the prices that I could find that we ordered the last big order of transformers was in 2019. And those prices are double. Almost double, well, some of them they have double, the two sizes. It's doubled since 2019 on the prices of the transformers. So we ordered half as many as I was thinking we could order. So instead of ordering 10 of each size, 10 25s and 10 50s, I ordered 5 of each. So
Is that something that we recoup our costs on at all? Or is that something we absorb as part of our infrastructure?
We absorb some of it, not all of it, but it's just part of the infrastructure costs. Depending on where they go, I mean, there might be some fees associated with like a development or something like that, that we will recoup some of those costs,
But at this point, for a lot of developments, we're gonna just order the equipment. They pay for their connection fees. These that we keep in inventory are more for the failure. So,
if somebody runs one over, then that would be an insurance claim, but if we have one that just fails or starts leaking or is just flat out wore out, then it is what it is, but yeah, they've doubled in 3 years, so. But the nice thing is this company here is like I said, based out of Farmington. Their lead times were only 24 to 32 weeks. So we're at 24 weeks puts us into the end of September. 32 weeks puts us at the beginning of November, which I was shocked to find out they were only 24 weeks. Most places we're looking at a year, if not 18 months for brand new ones. If we could even get on the list for brand new ones. So
What do we have in stock now?
we, as far as sizes or numbers.
The transformers.
Coming in, 25.
Oh, well, this will be, I think, when these 5 come in, I think we have 1 or 2 right now in stock.
Okay, that's what I was after.
Yeah, so
So no panic at this moment,
no,
but close enough.
but it's, the nice thing is all of the transformers are physically the same size. So worst case scenario, if a 25 quits, we could set up 50 there. Big for what is needed, but physically the footprint, they're all the same. 99% of them are all the same. They all fit on the same basement.
Yeah.
So at a later date, we could go and put a different unit on there if we had to. So, but it was getting to the point where with the projections and the talks of the lead times and where the market was going, we felt it was just, we had to get something ordered, otherwise we weren't gonna get on the list, we weren't gonna get them, so.
Get on the list, can you get on a list to get one of those electric pickup trucks?
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing is right now with the pickups, we're already looking at, we're gonna order a brand new one from the Princeton Auto Center, we're already looking at ordering a 23 model.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe a 24.
yeah, depending on availability, I mean, they've got them sitting all over, but they can't sell them because parts aren't. I mean, they're getting a few out here and there, it's just, but it's the fact that, like the one in Michigan that sold for 53,000. It popped up, I called the guy on it, and I called him the next day, it was gone within a matter of hours. I mean, they're lasting hours at the most
Yeah,
online.
so we just put it out there, what we wanted to look color. Just something happened to show up, otherwise that was a year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, if we're gonna do it, I mean, it's gonna have to be a bang decision. You know, but we're working on it, so.
Just got an email from folks that we in contact with, and they were doing a survey, 3/4 and 1-ton pickups. Like a double premium anywhere in the country. Extra. Go right now.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep.
Scott? Scott, water?
Water, and we've got that hydrant down in Fairway Drive. We've got dewatering set up for Thursday, and we're gonna dig that and replace that or fix that hydrant issue down there on
Is
Friday,
that on the south side?
north side.
Okay. Oh, where, okay.
Where we had the leak this year, earlier
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So that's all scheduled in. We had our monthly bag T samples. We're gonna start flushing hydrants next week. Part of our yearly maintenance, where we'll flush every hydrant in town throughout the system. Go through all that. We had some new homes, new service installs over here by Mark Park. We've been doing this second on them. We did that 4 of them in so far, so there's 2 more to go on that project. And got some meters in for the First Street apartments. We were able to get the water meters come in for that, so we have them in stock here finally. And some other parts that we had ordered, similar type stuff, fire hydrants in. A little bit more service line repair stuff. Some inventory on that just for availability is getting so tough on that. And then the water nodes are November. So that's been, a year and a half with them getting pushed.
Yeah.
So, that's hopefully, I don't know if that was just to put it out there, if it's gonna be November, or if that's just another, quit bugging me for a while, I'm gonna tell you always, so. Been working on some spring turn-ons for the parks irrigation system starting to come in there, so we're starting to get all them turned back on. Yeah. We're there for the water side.
Do you want to talk about
Oh.
PFAS?
The PFAS. Who did you have?
I don't have, it was brought to my attention, I was watching 60 Minutes and this came up and they said it's across the whole United States. And I went to a map, and as far as Minnesota goes, I think there's, well, the cities has, I think, 3 or 4 concerns.
Mhm.
And then I couldn't see exactly where it is, but maybe in, I don't know, maybe the Brainerd area, and then there was one further north. So that was our population. And of course, just how everything else runs, the East Coast was just full, and West Coast is full. But maybe tell about it, and then I'll talk about how the end of that program worked out. But it's a concern with the of water.
Mhm.
So
It's a man-made contaminant, comes from firefighting, Scotch guard type materials, the city stuff, it's a 3M, I do leader, one of them. They're having trouble down there, they're manufacturing that stuff down there, but the fire foam was kind of a big one that it was taken out into areas, around airports that were training with it. And then in the landfill areas is kind of the spots where they're seeing it showing up. We have tested the last fall, I believe it was, the Department of Health is doing some testing on that. We had pulled samples. Haven't heard nothing back, or it was negative, or there's no action required on any of that stuff. So we, it's a hot topic, and it's been, there's no real good, they're working on treatment ways to get it out. It's the way the molecule, the way it is, it's a tough thing to filter or to treat. There's no chemical. So they're working on a filtration or removal process for it. So they're getting some stuff figured out. Down in the metro, but yeah, this time we don't have any issue on it, but it is something that's being watched and
man-made particle that lasts forever. And different neighborhoods have seen this, and obviously it's much more widespread than, because they already have a map. But the solution that I heard that they came up with on a national level is to simply heat the water before. So that means heating it to a certain temp, even for your cold, your ultimate cold. But they said that those things would all be in place by the end of the year. They didn't think that was a problem. So treating it with a chemical or something like that, or filtration wasn't the answer. That you actually have to, so it's gonna be a gizmo attachment or something that's going to, how they heated that, or a light, I don't know, to get to that part. They're not at that far down the road. But I just wanted everyone here to be aware of that. So it's contamination. It's not your well or my well. It's contamination that gets into different areas like Scott mentioned. I just FYI. Thank you.
And then the power plant side, we did emissions testing, all but unit 3 went good. That one there was not meeting requirements there, so we pulled the catalyst out of that, tried doing the clean, or tried actually a different set that SIPA had brought up, and then we still weren't there, so they actually took the catalyst out, had them over in Wisconsin, had them cleaned. They will be back Friday, and then we will, or Wednesday, retest the testing companies will be back in, and we'll retest and we'll that won't be back into service. And right now it's on emergency only, so just the one unit. Everything else went good through that. Kenny and Shane were down at Generation School. Yearly deal, a couple guys go down to do some hands-on stuff, some classroom stuff, and do that. That's
City update, Mr. Zimmer.
Yo, Michelle couldn't be here today, so she prepared some notes, so I can just share them with you. Keith has a copy of them as well. City is still looking for a finance director. Unfortunately, we found that the salary that our current structure is somewhat low, so that's a challenge in itself. And right in the middle of a budget year as well, and right in the middle of compensation study as well. So that's a challenge that Michelle has, and I see she put on here that she hasn't shared that with council yet. We'll be in that. She's contacted a company, must be a company, Abdo, to assist with the auditing preparation. And our new technology director is working closely with Karen Hodges, the accountant at City Hall, to prepare the information that's needed to do that as well. The classification compensation study is well underway. Staff have been interviewed, questionnaires filled out. So the city is waiting for them to respond back on any changes or what the recommendations would be for salaries and that sort of thing. So change for any job description changes as well. Let's see, there's a company that expressed some interest in 20 acres of the industrial park. So the city is in negotiations with that company. Nothing etched in stone yet or anything like that, but just that there is a company that has expressed some interest. However, the price for the property was well below what the city is asking. So, but the negotiations will continue with that as well. Let's see, working with bed investments for a plot of swapping some land on West Branch Street, which would put the city in a better position for future right away in that area with the property owner. Would benefit the city and would benefit the property owner as well. Work on 21st Avenue has restarted, and now there's also airport projects in place or working on the master plan is being worked on, as well as the AWAS system, which is the automated weather observation system. That has to be updated as well. Let's see, postings have been made for Commissioner Hansen's position effective June, I think, 1st is what you had said. And the timeline that the city has put in place is the applications will be due by the end of business day, May 9th. And interviews would be conducted on May 12th at a council meeting, and the appointment would be made on May 26th, which would meet that deadline. Then Commissioner Hansen would still be available for you. And what else we have here? New software, finance software upgrade is in the process. The bulk of the implementation will occur in July, with other modules implemented in later months. And I'm glad I don't have to do anything with that personally. So, and then the last thing I want to say is thank Jeremy over there for, and actually Bob Gerald with the Public Works for working with us with the ballpark committee on the scoreboard, the electrical part of it, and the lights, and kind of putting us, taking away some of our anxiety. Because the first night game was coming up here this Thursday and tomorrow. And we didn't have lights up to about a week ago. And PUC was right on schedule, and the city also, Public Works, joint effort again, and they're up and running, we're ready to go. And you're invited to the May 6th dedication of that scoreboard.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's all I have. The brand,
Yeah, or is it like just a new one, or is it?
brand new one, yeah, Dectronics, 25 by 40 feet, 20. And that was all through private donations.
Great job on that.
It really worked out well. Yeah, the response was just overwhelming.
You like the baseball.
They really do, and a lot of alumni contributors.
That's what's driving it. That's great.
Yeah. And then the major contributors on the scoreboard as well.
All right, thank you, Jules.
You're welcome.
Mr. Butcher.
On the administrative side, on May 29th, we received the APTA Safety Award. And actually, Carleen, the MMUA CEO, happened to be on site, and she joined us in a small celebration for that award. There was an article in the MMUA resource newsletter about that, as well as other municipals around Minnesota that also received the APTA award. The bill insert this month is on the car service fees. To get that information out, we did celebrate National Line Workers Appreciation Day on April 18th. The auditors were in the office April 19th and 20th. All that went well. The service fees are scheduled to be implemented effective May 1st. The newly designed budget billing letters went out last week. We're already seeing a response as folks read up for another year. Social media posts will also be made available. We worked on a couple of solar projects and finalized agreements for those interconnection contracts. And then our Rex fuel cards are in now, and I think we just need to distribute those.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Monday, but then that didn't work out.
Yeah.
I was gone Monday and Tuesday with sick kids, so.
Yeah, so that we're hoping through that's going to save us about 1% on our fuel costs and allow for better vehicle management. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but way back when I first started, at least, we were talking about some of that vehicle tracking. What happens with fuel cards is one card gets assigned to each vehicle, so you can start to track mileage and things like that. So I'm going to be interested to see what kind of reporting data we can have. Yeah. Just so you know, it kind of fits in with that too of yours. Also want to mention, I just had this conversation this morning with Simpa. We currently have a quick start contract. This is for Unit 7. And that quick start contract was initially set up, 19 years ago. And in addition, it was a 20-year bond to put that generator in. So both of those are expiring at the end of 2023. I was talking to Simba about that, but although the board hasn't approved this yet, but internally what they're thinking is that they will extend that quick start contract for another 5 years. The terms of the contract says you can extend to up to 5. And then in theory, you can go on forever if you wanted to, but it's in 5-year increments. So Simba's intention is to do that. They'll keep the contract rate the same, which is $3 per kW month. The nice thing for us, what that means is, those bonds will expire on unit 7, but we'll still maintain the capacity payments for that. Now, obviously, repairs are going to continue to creep up with older equipment, but it does change. It is just something that we're monitoring, but I wasn't worried that Simple wasn't going to extend the contract. It was nice to just have the confirmation that, and understanding that the terms are going to remain the same. They are thinking, and they're just thinking at the moment, they might do a 5-year extension, which will put us out to 2028. There are some other members who everything's kind of split up a little bit, but really a lot of them in 2029. Simple might do a 1-year extension just to get us all in the same pattern, and then handle everybody at once. So that's what we're looking at there. On the DSM side, rebates were issued to Heartland Auto Electric and Jones for some work that we did here at the utilities and plastic products, which actually is going to be highlighted in the future Simple newsletter. Plastic products received nearly $23,000 in rebates, saving them 507,000 kilowatt hours of energy. Nancy, our ESR, visited local nearby appliance dealers, and she's attending our office staff meetings to help facilitate communication. She's also reaching out to HVAC contractors regarding air source heat pumps, and Simple is working on developing a preferred contractor network. We did big check pictures on April 5th with Heavenly Fresh, the treatment plant, Fairview, and Mike's Discount Foods. Sharon Schwartz joined us in those. I don't know, Rick, did you want to say anything about those big checks?
It was just exciting to participate in that. That's my first time. And it was just to see that all come to fruition, the people are all happy. They're so excited, and the program is there. And in some cases they're new, so in other cases they've renovated, but it's such a positive thing. And just gave me joy just to talk to the owners. That's the opportunity that I had. Normally you don't have always that opportunity. Actually met Mike from Mike's, and he's very interesting, very exciting guy. He didn't want to be in the picture. The whole purpose is, this is your check, but he was there, but he didn't want to hold the check. So, but all very exciting. And thanks for having me.
Yeah. On the regulatory and reporting side, we've already covered the drinking water report, which was issued. We did receive notification that our pay equity report was accepted as filed. We have already filed our DRF1, which is our quarterly air permit to the state, and then completed it's called the E7, which is a public employment and payroll survey. That was filed. In addition, this morning I managed to get out the data for SIMPA. They asked the members to provide customer information just to help with their future load forecasting. So got all the simple load forecasting reports done this morning. For customer outreach, both SIMPA and the utilities advertised during the Chamber's Hybrid Expo event. That was earlier this month. This month's Chamber Leadership Series topic was agriculture. We heard about a couple of local projects and then toured the Hub and Child Farm, which is pretty interesting. I attended a webinar from APPA on public communication, which gave us some ideas on different tools that we can use and strategies to better communicate with the public. And then I started playing around with Instagram account as well, just to kind of see how that works. I got 5 followers already. Again, trying to communicate with people where they're at, and using the tools that they use. On the IT side, the FirstNet conversion is progressing. We've got the tablets all updated and upgraded and updated. The SCADA system we're going to put on hold until this fall. We're currently working with CW to virtualize the 3 servers. This was in the budget for this year. And we're kind of tweaking that to figure out what makes the most sense for us. We are constantly evaluating and strengthening our cybersecurity efforts. There's an increasing focus on that given the situation. I've been talking with Ed, the city IT manager. He's provided me with copies of some policies that he's looking at proposing on email retention and computer use. The more we can kind of just have the same thing, I think benefits both parties on that. So we'll see what makes sense for us. The simple board meeting was held in Princeton on the 13th. That all went well. It was great to host folks. And even though I've been here 3 years, it was the first time I got a chance to host because of COVID, since we went virtual for so long. So that was kind of fun. Of course, you were able to attend as well. I don't know if you can say anything about it.
It was just really interesting to see everybody in action, you know, and what they do, except similar to this, but much grander. Nothing, I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't ask them too many questions because they're way up here. But it's just really, it's interesting and fun for me to be in this part and then see what really is going on, you know, and that's just our state. And then you take it out more and more and look at how all these arms actually stretch. So no, I enjoyed it, and I'd sit in on another one. It's just a good learning experience. And you'd get to know the people too.
Yeah.
So I remember some because I attended some on Zoom. And so Dave and some other guys, it's a softer, because they recognize you and I recognize them, so it's just easier to talk and you have commonality, so.
Also been participating in the NWA Government Relations Advisory Committee. Things are just a little quiet at the moment, but that'll pick up as we get closer to the end of session. We did submit a grant application for April, which would help cover our potential contaminants inventory. It is a 50% match. It would be $2,200. So that's $2,200 our ratepayers don't have to pay. So that's kind of how I look at it. I will be attending the National EPA conference in June as well. That is what I have for my general manager's update, unless there are any questions.
I have one
Go
question.
ahead.
On the quick start
Yes.
and the bond payoff.
Yes.
So how just roughly off the top of your head, like how would that affect our cash flow?
We don't have those numbers. You know, I can tell you what the. I can get you.
Yeah, I'm just curious what kind of effect that will have yearly cash flow.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that too, so if you want to get the commission on that.
Absolutely.
You can send it out.
Yeah.
Fine with that. That we will let that go to.
I gotta see which one that
Or
is.
is that, or I know there was one more time. that came up.
Yeah, I gotta check on that. Like I said, I just talked to someone this morning.
Yeah.
And that's what Mark Mitchell told me was typically when those were set up is, you know, it was a 20-year quick start contract and it coincided with a 20-year finance on that. So they kind of tracked each other.
Yeah.
So there should be money coming off here. As to which one it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it could be, I guess. Or Kathy, if you know offhand, where unit 7, which bonding is. I do not. I can get that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Keith, you mentioned the house truck farm.
Yes.
What was that about?
Well, so the Chamber Leadership Series, which I've been participating in,
Okay.
the topic was agriculture.
Okay.
So we heard from, Randy Hatch was there to talk about the community garden and, you know, just the economic impacts of agriculture for our region. And then they always like to do a tour in the afternoon, so we went out to the public childs and saw their operation. which was fun for me because there's a digester that they use. We got just a tiny little generator. Generate their own electricity to use internally. It's not big. But that project was funded through a couple of grants way back in the day that Regular studied the energy industry. And interesting that it's still going. So,
Good. Yeah, that's quite an operation.
yeah, they have about, say, 1,500 out there.
So that. There's some.
Yeah, and then they just talked about that entire process, how they track all of that. Yeah, it is.
I used to build one cow by hand. Had a chance to do that. It's fun for like 2 or 3 times.
When I was little, my grandparents had a dairy farm, so that's where I spent my summer.
Oh, yeah.
So I did, but nowhere near the size of
Yeah.
operation.
Yeah.
So,
You're better off having 1,500. You can afford the automation.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
One big state to the other. Thank you, Keith. Old business. A resolution 22-05.
Yeah, in your packets, and George is here. George, if you don't have a seat. This is a conversation we had last month regarding the payoff of taxes on food. Want to give the commission an opportunity to and if I needs to make sense, we can have a resolution that would have to be approved by the commission. Otherwise, I'll just hand it off. George, just kind of want to give a brief overview.
Sure. Thank you, Keith. Well, like we reviewed last month, board, this is your 2012 bonds that you'd be looking to pay off early. And those bonds were originally 1,350,000 issued in 2012. It was about 80% electric, 20% water was the purpose for that bond. And like we reviewed last time, there's a benefit certainly to pay that one off. They have outstanding interest rates of 2.65% and 2.85%. So paying these bonds off early saves you an interest cost of approximately $17,500. So that's the benefit. The procedurally, what you need to do is there's a resolution in your packets calling the bonds or prepaying the bonds. So that's what this board needs to consider. And then a concurring resolution is on the agenda with the city for tomorrow night. So it takes both entities to approve like we talked about last month. So it's on the agenda. I confirmed that with Michelle. And so that's really the kind of the follow-up to last month's discussion is, again, board, it's even with interest rates moving up and interest earnings moving up a little bit with that, this is certainly beneficial to you.
You said 1 million, what?
When originally issued, they were 1,350,000.
What our resolution calls for 2,450,000.
And let me just confirm. Yes, my apology there. I was looking at a wrong number here. Yes, correct. You have the correct number, the 2.9 million. When you pay these off, it's a total amount of 475,000 of principal that you pay off that remains. And again, that's for the 2023 and 2024 payments. And so the total amount that you would have to pay is 477,359. So good point. It's on the resolution. Yes, 2,450,000.
I thought maybe you were coming up with the extra mill or something. I wanted to clear on that.
No, my apologies on that. I was looking at a different number here, but yes, when issued in 2012, 2,450,000. So you're paying these bonds off 2 years early.
And the savings again Who else would be-
Approximately 17,500.
If I can, I would like to present a motion to accept this proposal. Anytime we can save $17,000, I would think probably okay. I'm pretty sure I can get Mr. Schwartz to go along with me on that, knowing how he likes those kinds of numbers. So, yeah, I'd like to offer that as a
Motion.
motion.
Is that what you're making? Is it a motion?
Yeah, a motion. I'm making a motion. I'll second that.
Yeah, we have first and the motion. Any discussion on this yet?
Only thing to note, I guess, board is you just paid off the 2010 bonds. So this is on the electric side. You just paid off the 2010 bonds. You're now paying off early the 2012 bonds. And so the only one that remains is the consortium bonds that go out to 2025. That's on the electric side. On the water side, there is two loans through the, one loan through the PFA, the state of Minnesota, and then one conventional bond that goes out to 2027. So
The motion before us is specifically on this 2012.
yes,
So
This motion is for resolution 22-05.
yeah,
That's what's on
Just
the
to
floor.
clarify that.
That's what's on the floor. So first, a second, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Pass.
wonderful. We go to help pay for a pickup truck, right?
we need all the help they can get. Yep.
Right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Kathy, I'm sure you have this, but please make sure the resolution 22-05 is what this discussion was about.
Exactly what was in the packet. I don't have you sign that today.
Just making sure there's questions. Thank you. Resolution B, resolution 22-06.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We do need to update the signatories on some of our financial accounts. Right now, we have Commissioner Henson and Commissioner Erickson as signatories. And with Mr. Hanson's resignation and Chair Schwartz to get you on those, the resolution in front of you is to remove Commissioner Henson as a signatory and to add Commissioner Schwartz as a signatory on the three accounts listed.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 22-06.
We have a motion.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
All right.
All right,
Nay, same sign. All passed. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you all. C, ACH discussion.
I have nothing at this time. This is a topic that the commission had requested to be on every agenda. So that's my-
is it, do we need that on the agenda? Keep going forward.
Well, I think for now, yeah, we still do. I think if we use that chart as a discussion, I mean, you can see what there's 48 people that have signed up from my look at the chart. With that, I found that interesting, but it hasn't been put in place until May 1st, is that right? Or the actual program?
No, the ACH.
What was it that last meeting we were starting? You mentioned May 1st.
That's the service fees.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm at.
The graph is on the ACH.
Right. And that's from
Okay.
to March, through March, because it's still in April.
No, the ACH is people who sign up to have automatic deductions from their checking account, to which we're giving a 3% credit for. Which we have, at least one of the discussions we had was to approve that through August. The service fees is a 2.5% adder on all card transactions.
Right, this is the chart I'm referring to, the ACH tracking.
Correct, so.
So
that's
this is the 2-month period on that spike that I'm referring to.
correct. The
Okay.
May 1st does not impact that.
Okay.
That's correct.
So from the ACH discussion, I think it would be interesting just to see, we can keep it on there a little bit longer, just
Okay,
see what happens. And once it's just,
I agree, yeah. We still get, some of the public with questions on it, obviously
right,
coming through, so.
so I think we should be kept on pace as much as we can be. So no rush, no harm, no foul on that. Rate study update.
Yeah, I just wanted to update the commission. I'm having constant conversations with Blair at DGR, who's conducting our rate study. One of the things that him and I are talking through a couple of different philosophies and strategies as it comes to rates. And as he's looking, what he does is he looks at, we're using 2021 as kind of our benchmark to kind of see how our load shapes look across different customer groups, across the entire calendar year. And one of the things that him and I are talking about is looking at our commercial rates in particular. Right now, we have 3 commercial rates. We have our small commercial, which is for customers who are under 25 kW. They are an energy-only rate. And then the large general is from 25 to 1,000. Which is demand and energy, and then there's our large power, which is over 1,000, which is both demand and energy. Blair and I are both kind of on the same page on this with what we've seen in other utilities and how we see the data breaking out, which is we might want to split that up a little bit more to make it more representative of trying to match up revenues with expenditures. And his initial thought is that the small general, we might lower from 25 kW threshold to a 20 kW threshold. And then we would create a large general, which would go from 20 kW up to 200 kW. And then potentially doing an intermediate power, intermediate power from 200 to 500 kW. And then our large power would be everything above 500. Basically, what you do when you do a rate study is you kind of look at the distribution of your customers and you kind of find those natural breaks. And I think that's what he's seeing. And then the other thing that him and I are talking about is we both believe the same, which is given the AMI data, given the fact that we have a lot more analytics to work on, trying to match up revenues with costs is the direction everything's going. Rather than assuming one general load shape for everybody pays their way. So what that means is we might look at proposing a demand rate for all commercial customers, not just everybody above the 25 or 20 kW. So it's a couple of things that him and I are talking about. I just wanted to share that with the commission, that's kind of the direction we think we're going. If that seems way out of line, let me know, but that's kind of where the data is taking us at the moment. We'll have, actual recommendations and options when the time comes, but just wanted to let the commission know kind of how the conversation is moving forward.
It might be interesting for members of the commission to have an idea of who some of these local customers might be in category A, category B.
Okay.
Just to say, okay, this makes sense to me, or what the heck, kind of, just, it gives a frame of reference, and I think that would be helpful.
Absolutely, yeah. I can do that.
And see how that pie slices up. Not that you're gonna make no, he shouldn't, but I think we have to follow the data. I mean, that's the purpose for the whole thing, is follow the data. And then we adjust to that. And it should dictate to us, not us to them.
And to be clear, I don't have rates yet. We're not even at that.
We're
We're just
just looking
looking
at,
at.
we're gonna slice the pie, let's see who falls into these things, and I think it helps put a personal face on what we're doing. This isn't just category A is X, but it says, okay, this is for our customers like this is how it's gonna impact them. It's gonna be a savings for these guys, but these guys are gonna have to pay a little more because of the extra service that they got to, it's more demanding or whatever, I don't know, you have to fill up those blanks. But I think from a commission standpoint, it's helpful to know who these folks are, what, not necessarily specifically. But we can say, okay, the hospital is this kind of a customer, and they would fit here.
Yeah.
But Coleman's or Mike's or whoever these middle guys are, they probably fit in this kind of category. And Hanson's house out there is probably here, and so that's how it all fits together. So as we're massaging these categories, then the commission can say, okay, yeah, this makes sense for us. We need to think about where this is going next year, the year after. You guys do, and I think it would be helpful.
Yeah.
For everybody.
I think generally what we're gonna be seeing is rates are gonna get, I say more complex. I mean, it's all just computer code, so I mean, you just kind of program and do what you need to. But when we're looking at, like I said, demand billing all commercial customers, which is the direction I think our industry is going. You start looking at, especially if you look at our wholesale costs, which we pay higher in the summer and lower in the winter, and yet what we've done, at least in recent years, here is just have a straight demand rate. We look at some seasonality in our rate structures, just like East Central and Nexus are doing. So perhaps you charge less in the wintertime because it costs us less, but then we charge more in the summertime because that's where we're experiencing our increase in costs. Passing that through down to the customer so that they get the same price signals, so they understand how the market is working and they can change their operations to optimize their cash flows as well. So the more transparency we can put in our rate structures, I think ultimately is a good thing in helping us manage the overall grid. So those are the kind of conversations Blair and I are having. Not that I want to go, do a complete change, but I can see where our industry is going, and I think starting to take those steps to educate customers into how this industry operates is a direction. So we're not just, I guess my major point is, we're not just looking at, okay, here's our rate structures right now. Are the numbers right in order for us to meet our revenues? We're really taking the time to look back and say, do the structures even make sense anymore, given how our load shape has changed over the last 10 years? And that's why we're looking at customer and load shape data.
Having come from other places where various rates are part of the package, I think this is also something the city ought to be interested in, because as you have corporate customers coming in, you can say, okay, but here's the utility here has various rates. Where do you fall? We can make it easier for you to come in because they have a special rate for this kind of customer and so forth. So I think it's important to have that flexibility or variety, not only to help us keep our costs in line, but I think as part of the community, it makes us more attractive to bring people in that we can show that we can fit their needs better. So 2 cents.
Just information. Just want to keep you guys up.
Yep, no, and it's all good information. To be able to dissect everything that way is a huge advantage, why we spent the money on the way that we did.
What's the timeline looking like?
I'm still planning for fall to have a report ready.
So
I think before that, August, September, because The idea was I wanted to get some options from the commission so that if there is a rate change, we can budget and do it effective January 1. Was-
Yeah, I'm not sure if anything's changed or not, but I think September was brought up last meeting, and I think the answer was no problem. So,
Yeah, I'm excited to see.
It's gonna be, there's gonna be some stuff in there, so I'm gonna give everybody time.
Yeah, right, to digest it,
it.
yeah. And,
well, and then how
Analyze
to
it.
implement it. It's how fast you want to walk,
Well, the implementation will be pretty straightforward because Power Manager is set up to handle it. I mean, Power Manager is a national tool, so other utilities do this already. It's just a matter of, do you set this field to 0 or do you set this field to?
Right, but for us, if we're going to use the different things that are available, meaning information to best serve our ratepayers, there may be some strategy other than just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, to study. That just the data that we're gonna get is I don't think gonna be a 1-page presentation.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So I think once we get that, if it's September and October, but I mean,
Yeah,
work studies or something's gonna have to happen, because I just can't believe it's gonna be that easy when there's that much data.
Yeah.
So,
I do like the idea of getting our rates, so they're more apples to apples comparable to, the
Yeah.
industrial park. And, so our two surrounding providers, for electricity, just so if someone's looking to move in, they, where they're gonna locate, they can compare the rates and
Yeah.
make it easier to make a decision whenever everything's set up the same, so hopefully that would help, lessen the confusion when people are looking at what is Princeton's utilities rates at. So,
yeah. Well, we'll just have to be patient on some of that information. Again, I think there's gonna be, I dig into numbers and that's just my nature. So what we get, when we get, we'll just have to work with it, what we have. So that type of information that you just shared, I found very exciting and interesting. So thank you. E, City Council joint meeting discussion.
Yes, we did have a joint meeting with the city council on the calendar for May 5th. Since with Commissioner Hansen's resignation, the city council is working on appointing someone else in that role. The city council is wanting to, well, they have canceled the May 5th. It's still on our agenda. So I've talked with Michelle. We're thinking about postponing the joint meeting until September for a couple of reasons. One is it will give the new person time to get acclimated, learn about the utilities a little bit more before putting them in front of before doing the joint meeting. And the second is with the rate study that we just talked about, we could conceivably have that presentation done to both groups at the same time. And I'll give the city council the ability to ask questions directly from the consultant and not, hear stuff through rumors or innuendo. Just trying to get the information out to everybody equally so that we're all on the same page. So that's the thought. At the very least, like I said, we do have a motion in place to have a joint meeting on the 5th. I would need a motion to cancel that meeting and we will reschedule at a later time. Michelle and I will work on that. That's the recommendation.
Since this is all my fault, I'll make a motion to cancel the meeting for May 5th. And with that, I will add that I think it's not only a good idea, it's an important idea, because whoever sits here in June, July, and August needs to get both feet wet and understand what we have been doing and what we're going to be doing before they sit down with the city council and get a notion of how we work together. That's that's a critical feature of going forward, is the notion of working together with different projects with the city. So I think it's be really important to have this new person sit here and go through some of these things before they're dumped in the soup, as it were. So my motion would be to cancel the May 5th meeting and to have Mr. Butcher work with the city to work on a new date.
I'll second that.
Okay, first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. That's what we're gonna do. Mr. Butcher, you have that direction. Number 9, new business, security upgrades.
Yeah, if the commissioner recalls, we've been looking at some security concerns with the cell storage lot as well as the substation. We had that break in last year. We've identified a couple areas where we can do some improvements. We work with a local contractor, North Country Systems. They're the same contractor that's working with the city on their system. They gave us a quote to upgrade our operations, which is memorandum 22-11 in your packets. Total of $6,249.80. Staff is recommending approval of that security bids that we keep an eye on everything.
I don't want to ask too many questions
Well,
about our security.
Exactly. That's exactly right. If there are, I mean, if you guys are comfortable, if
In a
that makes
public
sense,
setting, if that makes sense, you know, I don't.
we can approve it. If you have questions, we can easily table this till next month, and then I can have offline conversation with you. I agree. I do not want to get into the specifics of
Yeah.
what, where, and how.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is.
You know, it might might even be something if we have to, so close to.
Well, technically,
You can't on that.
I will say, I did hear that there is a proposed bill in front of the state legislature to expand the closed meeting requirements to cybersecurity. So we can talk about cybersecurity issues about podcasting, what we do to protect ourselves from hackers, but yeah, I'm happy to, share more information with the commission, with individual commissioners.
Now, with this information that's in front of us, is the dollar amount budgeted, or is this a not budget item? I think we can resolve the other things, but if
In the past, one of the, I would say past commissions have always been kept informed of things like this. That's why I was gonna ask for a motion. It's just, I want to make sure this is okay with the commission that we're going down this direction. As far as, it's not something that I intentionally planned to be in the budget. Can I fit it in? I don't know the answer to that just yet. It'd be nice just to get the approvals so that we can just move forward with the actual activities. So you're not surprised at the end of the year if this money is there in the budget. But, I can pull that information together. We can both pull this in.
And if we can go either way, I don't know the urgency. Being secure is always paramount. I just look at that through security, it's never going to go away. You're going to have to throw more money at it all the time. So maybe it should be a budgeted, but what number that would be, I don't know. Maybe that's information you can have when we postpone it till next meeting, that you can discuss these items. What does the commission wish to do? I just think this is going to end up being a line item though, which is part of the budget where it's.
Well, as to which category I put in the budget, I don't know. I don't have the categories in front of me. It's not gonna be a specific line item in the budget to be categorized things. So,
I stand corrected.
yeah.
But when you're looking at this number now, and if we just save 17,000 by being frugal, what's the other word? Never mind, frugal's fine. But
Forward.
yeah, good stewards.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be good stewards, then, I mean, you just do that math and that's an ongoing expense. However you want to categorize it, it's gonna grow. I'm confident of that. I think my fellow commissioners would agree with that. So I just don't like reaching down and if it's not in the general working fund or budget, if you want us to say that, however you want to word it. But we're gonna have to put more money into this all the time. Just the technology is gonna change. So what you bought 2 years ago, you gotta upgrade.
Yes, yes. But, again, maybe it's more a philosophical point. Is what you're saying that as long as I can fit it in the budget, I can buy it.
No,
I didn't think so.
that's why I use the term line item.
Yeah.
Okay, so you put X amount of dollars in for computer upgrades. That maybe you want to tie it into that. You know, this is what I'm getting at. Not fit it into the budget and go buy a new truck for yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's why I'm bringing before the commission. I want to make sure that we're transparent.
Yeah, but to me, that language is pretty straightforward in the business world, that if you have an ongoing expense, it's not gonna go away. So then what's the category? What do you put computers under? You know, is it account 504? What is it? So I don't see why it's so difficult.
Well,
Whatever you guys,
now the language of this proposal is partly expense, it's gonna cost us some things to do security upgrades. And the other part of it, excuse me, is that it's also making it easier for us to work with the city because they have security concerns as well. And sometimes we need to share information back. So, it's just security. What things you put off in that category might be computer upgrades, might be radios, might be fences, might be, I don't know what else could go in that category. But I think being an electrical utility and water utility, we're visible out there and people can say, oh, we can act this for a variety of various reasons. And so I think this motion here is that we need to spend some money. Here's $6,000 change. And so, let's put this to good use on security things. Down the pike, down the line a little bit. What Schwartz is referring to is maybe we need to be thinking about that as a category. That we can say, okay, let's pull some money around the security budget to do curb sensors on our pickup trucks. So that's a security or whatever. We find these other things where the security budget is filling that need without getting into too much detail about exactly what we did with our security branches. Certainly, an open forum like this, I would discuss what this might be. They are numerous, and I think our exposure as a utility leaves us wide open. So, $6,000. The grand scope of things, I don't think that's a big number, but we should want to be using some of that to help protect this. By education of this community.
I can't get all that. Oh, that's just like that's we have to capitalize that.
Probably.
Yeah, so it doesn't come out of from an expense standpoint, it doesn't get attributed to it, the O&M budgets that we put together. Right, it would be in the asset category. In our accounting side.
So is the computer system an upgrade in the same category? Just capitalize that?
Some we do, some we don't.
Hardware, so-
But some, but if you capitalize them, it's not counted as part of your annual O&M budget. It's
Yeah.
through the, through our, through a capitalization process.
How much that?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I mean, it's your responsibility to make sure that it's secure. Right? So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to give leeway to make sure he can do his job, because if something happens and he hasn't kept it secure, it's on him, not us, right?
100%. I
So-
agree with that.
So I don't want to get too micromanaging on that. If this is what we need, you know, if this is what we need for you to tell us you have our water and electric security. I'm good with that, because I guess, you know, that's something, if someone were to get into the water and contaminate it or something, it's $6,000.
Yeah, and
So
I'm just
I think you would say that out loud. but-
looking at it from the point of view. It seems like you understand completely what I'm saying.
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't want to get in the, I also don't want to get in the way of making sure that we're secure, but.
Yeah, and I'm not saying don't do this. I'm all for it. So it's not a negative. It's just if I ask the question, how much was this last year? Or the year before? Was it 1,500? Was it 3,000? Because if it's 6 now, next year, the year after, that's probably gonna be 10 or 12.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, well, the answer to that is, it was 0 last 2 years. This equipment has more than a 1-year life to it, so it would be capitalized. I don't know, what did we capitalize our security system? 8
I think
years,
10 years.
10 years? So you're looking at an expenditure, which is more of a fixed asset that happens on a non-periodic basis. So I don't anticipate that you're gonna see anything on this. I mean, well, not for this system. Once this gets put in place, I think it's good to go for 10 years.
And there's online updates that keep this in that way, or,
There's really nothing.
okay, all right. See, not knowing all the whole
I know.
cards in the deck, but, okay.
It's
I'm not against doing this. I want to make that clear. I'm not against doing it.
it's
I'm
not
just-
software, it's hardware.
Any more questions? We want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal. Doesn't have a number on this one, but the security upgrade proposal set forth by staff.
I'll second.
First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Water system study.
Yeah, this is.
Thank you, Jules.
This is, again, more information of. Scott and I met with WSB last week or 2 weeks ago. Just a little, yeah. John and Jen Edson, who happens to also be the city engineer. What we're starting to think about is doing, is looking at some sort of water system stuff, just like we're doing on the electric, to make sure that the system is robust and reliable. And then from that, determine what our needs are, and then looking at a rate study and just making sure that the system is as we're moving forward on the electric side, we also want to start, we want to make sure we're keeping an eye on the water side at the same time. So we're looking at potentially, we wanted to start a conversation with WSB about what something like that might look like, what estimated costs, what value. one of the things that came out of the conversation, which I think would be very informative, is start by doing monitoring system pressures throughout the system. Sometimes we can't. Your customer or business there, the entire system stays balanced, just like we do on the electric. Start having a conversation with that. In addition, one of the things with W, looking at, upgrade a pavement management plan. When they start digging into roads, it'd be nice to know, what are we gonna do? We want to just not do anything? Do we want to replace like for like? Do we want to engineers who understand how that's going to impact pressures in other areas to give us a conversation? And Scott and I, the conversation we were having in regards to that is, given that there's been a delay in the water nodes for this year, Scott mentioned that we're currently told that it'll happen in November, that we're going to see anything this year. That a bunch of money that we had set aside for that upgrade. The question is, would the commission be at all interested in entertaining a proposal this year to do a water system study? Is it something that I should even look at? It is really kind of where I'm going with it. If we were, we could do a system study, get an idea of what our long-term capital needs might be, if anything. I don't even know that there is going to be anything. But then I'd like to do a water rate study next year, just like we're doing electric rate study this year. Just kind of just keeping everything moving forward, making sure we're always looking into this, so we understand how the system's changing over time, so we never run into any problems. Something that we're talking about internally, wanted to see if the commission had any thoughts on.
And my initial thought is I don't like doing two things in 1 year, but they don't run at the same pace. One different than electric, other than the natural things about it. But and we don't have every 5-year type of renewal either. So ultimately, yes, I would love that. Build the next year.
Is that, but that, forgive me if I misunderstood. Goes into that next year, 2023 would be a good year to do a water study, as this one's finished, have some overlap, or what are you doing?
What I'm thinking at the moment is to do, since we're not getting nodes in anyway, we can look at the system, figure out what, if any, basically do a cap plan like we just did on the electric side. What are, looking at our system over the next 10 years with some projected how's that going to impact our system? How's that going to impact neighboring, well, the neighborhoods nearby? We got to make sure we maintain pressure for fire protection, things like that. I don't like just adding stuff in. So let's start putting some information together so that we have, when a contractor comes, I'm going to put brewery, which we have happened, right here on the south side of town. Is that okay? I'd like to very confidently say, yeah, absolutely.
Do we have enough water through all that beer?
It's the water's not the problem.
Whether they're
It's,
gonna use
it's
that water or not, I don't know.
it's the distribution system pressures
Oh,
that, making sure we're looping it in the right ways, making sure that we can get the water from the treatment plant to the towers, to the customer, it's just.
So right now, could you tell me at what point would we need to put up another water tower? Or put another well in? I mean, do we have that answer right now? Do we have those?
Right now, I think from a well standpoint, we have plenty of capacity, so I'm not worried about a new well in the short term. From a water tower, I did ask Jen that question, she seemed to think. But. What if it's a USDP? Okay, we don't have any water towers out on the west side, depending upon how the loads come in.
Yeah.
But if we do this study now, and when those come in, then we can just say, hey, let's go back and look at the study, let's make some assumptions on pressure allegations, and then determine, okay, if you come in, it's not just a matter of tapping in whack fee, we're gonna also have to upgrade the main going down first, and that should be on the developer at that point, but right now, we don't know what those costs are, so. Into a rate study later on. So, what I'd like to, at least my thought is, we could do a water system study, really get a. Well, then we could do a rate study to make sure that. Process we follow on the electric side, which I just find always works well. Let's figure out what our needs are and then figure out how you're gonna pay for it, and then we can do it. So I don't have a number, I don't have a proposal yet, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I just want to know if
Yeah.
you could answer that question.
Yeah.
If we can't answer that question, then
Yeah.
we probably need to study.
Right, I would say,
But,
keep in mind.
because I've been thinking about that ever since I got on the commission, it's like. How did they know in the past when I was trying to build another water tower?
Right.
Or is it just, I mean,
Right.
how did they do a study before and come up with that?
Again, from what we've been able to find in the old records, is there was not a full system study, they would look at certain parts.
Mhm.
This is trying to look at the system as a whole.
Yeah.
To answer your question about the water towers though, and I think Scott would agree with me, the fact that we take out the middle water tower in the winter shows that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but the question is, okay, if we add in a residential development of 80 folks on the north side, what does that do to water pressure up in Western Commons?
Mhm.
I don't want to, yeah, we're all for development.
Mhm.
We love having customers, but I don't want to adversely affect other customers. Right, so let's stay ahead of it, that's the thought.
Yeah.
And the funding for the study would come from our AMI pocket.
Well, we had money in the budget allocated for water nodes, which aren't gonna happen this year. So there is room there for the budget without affecting our margins, our projected margins at the end of the year. So it would seem to make sense. Then you've got another,
But, to kind of follow up on what Dan was saying, you're gonna have to make some decisions about water in the future of some sort.
right,
And so you have to decide now if you're gonna want to make those decisions based on something or something somebody said about something.
yeah, right.
And it's,
Yeah, it's just whether or not, well, is there? I mean, if things are really good, working really well, and we've got extra capacity, is now the time to do the study, or? Is it, you don't want to be too late on it, you don't want to get behind them.
we don't want to come in after the fact.
Right,
But,
right.
you use USDP, if you have another USDP all of a sudden plunks itself just west of the police station there in that new area. well, what's the impact of that? Or Greenbelt Brewery wants to move to Princeton.
I guess
I do want-
with the city doing their study, it almost makes sense. We better do it now, because if they decide to go forward with that, we better know what upgrades we might have.
That's my biggest concern is,
Yeah.
so the city's gonna come in. They've got their sewer stuff done, they're doing their pavement management program. They're gonna come in with their top 5 or 10 projects that they wanna work on. It'd be really nice for us to say, after we do our study, to say, okay, here's our top 5 to 10 projects. Where do we match up? Where can we get some really good economies?
Return the street, we better know if we gotta upgrade to a bigger line.
And the city might want to do projects 1, 2, and 3, and we'll say, well, for us, we want to do 1, 3, and 4. And we can,
Yeah.
at least provide some input and say, well, maybe could we put off this project and do this one because it helps us, and vice versa. Then we can work together. I mean, that's all.
Because our utilities run together, I think it makes.
Yeah, no, that's
sense to do
it's a
it.
great point, Dan.
Again, it puts us in a position to make decisions based on what we know,
Right.
instead of just
Yeah.
guessing about.
I mean, it's great that we can shut a water tower down and whatever, but that really doesn't answer the question of what we need to do along with the cities.
Right.
Because it's a system.
Yeah.
That's
right.
not-
So I would say. I definitely look into it. I don't know if you get bids on it from different contractors or if there's somebody that knows our system.
We can, with WSB being the city engineer working on the city sewer plan, working on the city road plan, to have the same engineer so that they see the where things
Both
match up.
sides of the book.
Might be a good thing. But I want to see what the proposal looks like.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are definitely questions.
Yeah.
We can continue to have this
Yeah,
discussion. There's
sure.
no decisions to be made today. It's just, again, I want to make sure the commission kind of knew what we're talking about internally, some different approaches we might want to take. So that's all I have on that.
Number C, Commissioner Hanson.
I'm Sorry, Mr. Chair, C is the scholarship. What?
Minus C.
Oh, my gosh, okay. Well,
Kathy, can you write down that key screwed up?
yeah. I had my note, I had another agenda.
Back to number 2, additions and deletions.
I guess if I can do an amendment to the general manager's report. real quick. I just want to let you know, we did not receive any applicants for the scholarship. So that's why nobody received any.
Okay, so it's-
My apologies.
There's two.
You have a comment, Keith, or Mr. Hanson, or Mr. Erickson? What are we doing with just acknowledging that the effective date is June 1st?
Yes, we're just putting the resignation into the record. The city council has already accepted their resignation.
So you want formal acceptance today
Yeah, I mean,
as of that date?
yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
yeah, the commission can formally accept the resignation as well, effective June 1st.
And with further discussion, if we say no, then what kind of conundrum are you in?
So we gotta deal with this.
No problem for me, I'll just be gone. Be aware I won't be here, but you guys can carry on. It's always been so well. It's because what it is, we sold our house, so we
I'm
got
good for you. I knew
it
it.
took over 24 hours. 25 actually. But it's a very crazy market. Stuff is kind of
When did you sell? Just recently?
last Thursday morning about 10:30.
Oh. Yeah, well,
I and the listing went up, and by 10:30 we had that about it for overnight. And next month, we have to one more time. Okay, fine. You get the house.
We're messing around.
He's spending the summer here in Minnesota, floating around Iowa, and Wyoming. By fall, summer, where it's at least 72 degrees.
Well, I understand. I mean, I really enjoyed working with you.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Talking about that because I'll start. It's been a pleasure and an honor. So I hope the next person has the same feelings about this group and this community. That's the torch.
Yeah, hopefully it's some good applicants. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting because at the one time we had, what, 7 or however many, and then different ones years back, there was not. You know,
yeah.
you and I were in the same race.
I have 5 hopes. I think foundations the last couple of years have been formative. I think, yeah, kind of laying the groundwork for, whatever the circumstances might be, this commission, this utility is going to be like this, and we're going to continue to operate in what we think is the best interest of this community, the way that we serve. So carry that thought forward, and I think we'll be fine. Just have to remember, this is a business that has to be run for this community.
You'll be at the May meeting. You'll be at the May meeting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So make my comments.
Yeah. Okay, well, unless there's more to be said next month, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
If this isn't the final.
My letter to the commissioner, I think you guys got copies of that.
Yeah. Unless there's anything else, we have come to time to close this meeting.
If I could just make a housekeeping statement.
Sure.
So, yes, we're gonna be adjourning the meeting. However, we are conducting a tour of facilities here at the APF. That has been announced and posted as, because there will be a forum. However, just so aware, so we can say that, the commission is not to, will not be discussing any issues. It's more for you guys to see the facilities, understand that when we talk about the north substation or the south water tower, you know what we're talking about. So it's not, the intention is not to be votes or make any decisions, is to inform and educate the commission. The public was notified and invited to attend. I did invite the mayor, the full city council. We'll be meeting here at 3 o'clock if whoever wants to join us. And it's an opportunity for you folks just to ask how things work. And that's all it's meant to be, just information.
Anything else? We need a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn meeting today.
A second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned.